What up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, and today we are going to take a look at the AuAg Sous Vide cooker. A great way to slow cook your food, get it tasting right, get it nice and even, especially if you've got a very small kitchen, you don't have a big stove, you want to have a lot of food that you got to cook. You can pre-cook it, get it ready, throw it in the fridge, throw it in the freezer, and when it's time to actually just do the cooking, you can go from there. Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. You can find me everywhere, and I do have a little, just so you know, in the last couple weeks, I went down with big time with illness, and yeah, it was a form of mumps. Crazy, huh? Adult mumps. I've had them as a kid, so apparently you can get them again, but I'm now in a state where I can actually talk. Can't hear through this ear, but you know, that's a different story. Hopefully that'll clear up. So got to get these reviews out here, and this one has been sitting in the queue for a while before because of all the illness. So this is the AuAg Sous Vide cooker, and as you can see, it doesn't look like anything more than just a stick with a little lip on it. You know, it could curl a hair or something like that, but this is actually a great cooking device. This is a great way, like I said, to get your stuff cooked before the big event, so you could cook it a day or two in advance. Throw it in the fridge, throw it in the freezer, and then when everybody comes over to party, just get it ready, and it's like you spent all day on it. Alright, so we're gonna start with making some corn, so I gotta hold this down for 2 seconds. And then I gotta switch it till I see corn. There it is, corn right there. And it's gonna be 60 Celsius, so we'll hit that again. So we'll say corn, 60 Celsius is 90 Fahrenheit, and we have 15 minutes. And go over here. I've already cut the corn, and I'm going to be using Ziploc bags because they say you can use Ziploc bags. I'm just gonna take a pat of butter, and I'm gonna put that into the bag as well. And then we're just going to put in a little bit of garlic in here for extra flavor. I'm zipping it up halfway, but not totally all the way. So now we've got to wait for this to get to the right temperature. Let's go ahead and start submerging the corn right at 118. And put this in, and I'm opening the bag a little bit so the air can get out. I'm going to submerge this even more, and then we're going to Ziploc it right there. Now I'm going to take the tongs, and I'm going to kind of set it like that so the corn stays under, and then I'm going to take a little press and seal. This gets a chance to really warm up in here. And I'm seeing the heat right now. It says 118 from the gun. Sous vide has been around forever. In fact, let's get you over here. About sous vide, it's actually French for under vacuum. And basically, so what you do is you throw it into a bag, and then you throw that in water, and then that water circulates. Hot water circulates. That's what cooks the food. It's also known as cryovacuum. The idea has been around for centuries. I've read stories about people in the 1700s which did a lot of sous vide in of course France and areas around here. It slow cooks foods for quick cooking and storage, of course, and it gives you even cooking with no bacterial growth. Now think about it. Back in those days where you didn't have refrigerators and freezers as readily as we do nowadays, you really needed to have the food prepared for a long winter or a big feast or something like that without bacteria growing. It also helps tenderize meats, and this is interesting because especially with steak, I read the charts, and you know, you can sous vide a steak. It takes about an hour for any steak to be ready to you could take it right out of the package and eat it from there. However, if you've got a really tough steak, if you've got a really, you know, any type of tough meat, you can throw it into the sous vide system and let it go for hours, and of course it's going to just completely break down that fat and keep everything intact. Now, a slow cooker can do the exact same thing, but it's, you know, big tub. You know, you've got different options to do this, and this is, of course, one of them. And it definitely tenderizes that meat. And I've done a few different foods, and you're seeing them as we go here. Let's take a look at this sous vide, the AuAg Sous Vide, a little bit more up close and personal. Now, we'll flip over to this one. As you can see, this is what you get the sous vide, and of course, I did an unboxing on this about a few weeks ago, which you can see over on Geekazine Live over at twitch.tv/Geekazine or youtube.com/Geekazine. Now, this is, like I said, looks like a stick or a curling iron. We've got a 3-prong power in the back. On the top, we have the dial, which you can't see anything right now because that's all LED, and I'll show you that in a minute here. And then, of course, we've got this cord. Basically, this cord has what they call the leakage protection line. So basically, it's like a reset option on most of your kitchen plugs. So you push it in and you've reset the and turned on the power, and then of course this can turn off the power. And if some water gets through and it blows the circuit, this is the circuit it blows rather than your main circuit. So basically, this is the dial that I'm talking about. It's got a control temperature. It's got the different types of items, quick lookup, I guess you could call it, and then of course you can adjust the time. So let's say you want to do mushrooms, which just takes about 20 minutes at higher temperature, and you want to go another 5 minutes because you really want it to marinate. And that's another cool thing about this, is you can put a lot of things into the bag with your foods and marinate it as you cook it. And I've done a few different things that have really made it, and we'll see in the videos here coming up. So the dial does all the work there. You just basically turn the dial. It's got a little clicky sound to it. So let's say if you want to do steak, you hold where it says contains 30 kinds of menus. You hold that button down for a couple seconds, and then it'll beep, and then you turn the dial to the food that you want to cook. And it will, you then press the dial once you get to your desired food, and then it will get it started going from there. Control temperature, you can then tell it, okay, I want either Celsius or Fahrenheit, for example, or I want to raise the heat. I want it to cook a little bit better to my standards. And then, like I said, the timer. All of this is completely adjustable.
All right, next up is steak. So I'm going to hit this button. And we're gonna go to steak. So what I'm gonna do is I got my steak right here. I'm gonna open her up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this. Yeah, I'm using this Toby Keith seasoned salt. There we go. And then I'm gonna take some of these shiitake mushrooms because it gives a rich woody flavor. I want to put these in with the steak. There we go. We'll seal it just because I want to mix this around a little better. And that looks ready to go, so we're going to submerge our little combination in here. As much air out as possible. Up a little bit more. Let the air up 134.
You can do any type of pots. In fact, I've got right here, this is basically a tote, a plastic tote, and this actually can be used for the sous vide. And the idea is that you take the sous vide, you take this and you fill it with water. Now, the sous vide, the AuAg Sous Vide, has a couple lines that you can go to, and then you just basically push on the clip, bring it to the area, and drop it in, and that's it. The water will then start circulating and warm up, and once it's warm, this will tell you, it'll beep, and then you throw your food in through plastic bags. Of course, you can get one of the food vacuum systems that takes all the air out of the plastic, so when you put it into the sous vide, into the tub here, then you don't get any water. But I've been doing nothing but Ziploc bags for all of these cookings, and it works just as well as long as I'm not doing long-term storage. If I'm cooking for food for a couple days, this is perfect, because then you can get into the bag, you can cook, you can get out of the bag, you can use the bag for other things. So let's say you're cooking asparagus, and you're cooking corn, and then you're cooking a steak. You can do one at a time, or all at once. I've even put a couple different items into the same bags. Now with this version of the sous vide, the AuAg Sous Vide, it has some really cool feature to clean it by simply just turning this plastic piece and then pull it out like that. So this can then go in the washer, and of course we can also get a closer view. So this is the system right there. We'll move the cable out of the way. So this is the system right there. We got a heating coil right here, and then this is what actually spins and gets the water churning. And it's a small fan, but it does the job. It doesn't have to spin the water through. It doesn't have to go at a high rate. It just has to move the water in some way. And that's what this does. So it's kind of like a little blender with a heating element right on top of it. And by taking it off this way, you can actually wash this, put a little bit of calcium lime cleaner on it, so it doesn't lime up, or so your food is still cooks at the same temperatures and goes from there. So now we can see the water lines. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see the water lines. AuAg Sous Vide is certified CE, FCC, ROHS, CB, FDA approved, and ETL approved as well. Let's take a look at some of the pros and cons. Now you're seeing on the side, this is their cooking chart. So they give you this in there with the sous vide. You can see that on the unboxing. It's an easy, slow cook process. I had it set up within minutes. It's easy to clean, and it's easy to dial up and even change in mid-flight. Let's say you've been cooking your steak for about 4 hours, and it's about ready to go, and you say, no, I want another 2 hours on it. I want it to be really tender. I want to go 12 hours. You can just tap it and move the button around and spin the dial and change the time and let it cook a little bit longer. Some of the cons, of course, it's bigger than some of the other sous vides out there. But you know, this is actually pretty small and will fit into a cupboard fairly easy without a problem. The plug is kind of a little bit bulky, but of course it's meant for protection, so it's going to have a little bit more onto it. I wish the cord was a little bit longer, because I find that it's stretching to the wall, and then I have to go and get another cord to make it really set on top of one of the counters that I was using for my sous vide. And then, of course, there's no other support with this. Like I said, this company doesn't do cooking supplies. You can check it out over at AuAg. Just look it up on Amazon and go from there. But it's been approved. It does have FCC and FDA approval, so it's safe to use in the kitchen. I've been cooking a lot of different things, including some cool beer brats.
All right, next up is beer brats. What I did was I put the brats in. I actually put some beer in there. Nice little Corona, old Corona. And so we're gonna throw this in. We're using the beef setting, and we're gonna set that in for about an hour. These seem to have settled down in the water, so I don't need to hold them down with anything, but look at how that is going. First of all, these brats are frozen, but notice how the beer is kind of bubbling on. The idea is I'm going to try and see within an hour if it infuses into the brats. So when I go to put them onto the stove, they'll cook quick and easy with a nice brown. Here we are. I actually let it sit for another half hour. You could go 2-3 hours if you want to. The idea was, or the hope was, to get the beer infused more in the brats. And the other thing I did was about every 5 minutes I went in and took out more of the air out of the bag. Now I opened this up so it has air in it. So this is one of these sausages that's now ready to sit in the grill.
And yeah, I just put the brats in there, and like I said, I've been using nothing but Ziploc bags. I didn't want to do the vacuum bag system because I wanted to show you how easy it was to get for the dorm, to get for your first apartment, and not have to worry about getting vacuum seal bags, because you don't find those at the local grocery store. I wanted to have items that you could find and go from there. The plastic tin bin, for example. Yeah, you can get one that's meant for that type of thing from Amazon. That's all well and good, but you can go down to a Big Lots and get something like that. I was using a black pan that I had in my kitchen area, and it worked perfectly. So I was just going to use it. I wasn't going to put too much more money into it until I knew how it was going to cook. Now that I know how well it cooks, I probably will do some vacuum sealing. We've got a couple jars out there. We might be doing some canning options, making soup and things like that, which I could have used last week. This is a great way for you to not only prepare your food for big events, prepare your food for the week, but also prepare your food for a winter and have it evenly cooked, have it no bacteria. With food is safe when it's time to open it, and cooking is fairly easy from there. You just basically sear the ends of whatever the food, put them on the grill. It took like 2 minutes to really finalize the cook, and then go from there. And of course you saw that through some of the videos that I showed from there. So that is the AuAg Sous Vide cooking system. You can check it out. Of course, we'll have a link in the show notes, and you can get it on Amazon. You can also tweet me over at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com to find out about a discount code for the sous vide. Pretty good discount code for the first few people that inquire about it, and you can get this AuAg Sous Vide into your kitchen to try out. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to comment over at Geekazine, geekazine@gmail.com. Twitter is Geekazine, Facebook at Geekazine. You just search Geekazine. Think Magazine, put in a Geek, you got me. So thanks a lot for watching. This has been another review of cool products for you, geeky products, I would have to say, in the AuAg Sous Vide cooker. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, you guys geek out and take care.